My name is Sora, and I want to tell you about something that happened to me. They sold my house, after I paid off every dime of their $280,000 debt. From wherever you're reading this, tell me, have you ever been used by your own blood? Like a walking wallet? It was a Wednesday. The sun was starting to slip behind the pine trees that framed our porch. I'd just gotten off my second shift at the hospital, exhausted but proud. The night before, my mom had cried in my arms, saying I'd saved the family. My dad, who never hugged me growing up, wrapped me in the tightest embrace. "You're our hero," he whispered. I believed them. I thought, finally I mattered. I stepped out of my car with a smile still stuck to my face from the night before, but something was wrong. The curtains were gone, the driveway was empty. The flower beds Mom used to fuss over were torn up. I rushed to the front door, but my key wouldn't turn. The house was gutted. On the hardwood floor sat a white envelope with my name scribbled in rushed pen. "Thanks for fixing our credit, loser. We moved to Florida with your brother. Don't call." No signature, no remorse. Just that. I dropped the envelope and sank onto the floor, then dragged myself out onto the front lawn like a ghost. Neighbors passed by and waved like everything was normal. I wanted to scream. I wanted to burn something down. Instead, I sat there silent, letting it all sink in. But then I smiled, because my parents didn't know one small thing. When I paid off the house last week, I'd had the deed transferred to my name quietly. Every document signed, notarized, filed. So the sale they tried to pull off wasn't valid. And in 24 hours, they were about to learn what it means to betray the wrong daughter. Let me tell you how we got here. 6 months ago, I was sleeping in my car after a 12-hour shift. I'd been staying with a friend after my ex kicked me out, but I didn't want to be a burden anymore. That night, I got a call from Mom. She was sobbing. "Sora, we're going to lose the house. Your father made some bad investments. We're $280,000 in the hole." That house was my only anchor, the same porch where I had my 5th birthday, the stairs I used to sneak down every Christmas. Losing it felt like losing a limb. I asked them, "What happened to the money you inherited?" "From Grandpa?" "Oh, sweetie," Mom sniffled. "We used it to help your brother start his business. You know how hard it's been on him, of course. Evan, the golden child. He crashes every car, ruins every job, cheats on every girlfriend, but somehow he's always the one they protect. Still, I couldn't bear to watch my childhood home get auctioned off, so I drained my savings, maxed out my credit cards, even took out a personal loan. They were shocked when I walked in with a manila folder full of cashier's checks. Dad went silent. Mom dropped to her knees. "You're an angel," she whispered. They made me dinner, took pictures, posted about it like I was a war hero. And me? I was just happy to be seen. That's the part that really stings. I wasn't just robbed of money, I was robbed of the illusion that they loved me the same way. They loved him. But now that illusion was dead and I was done being their safety net. Because while they were packing bags for Florida, I was finalizing the deed transfer. They didn't even notice the papers I asked them to sign for the refinancing. Now, as I stood on my empty front lawn, the only thing I felt was power. They thought they took everything from me, but what they really did was give me permission to burn the bridge down the next morning. I drove to the title office in a black hoodie and sunglasses. I didn't want to be seen, not because I was ashamed, but because I wanted the surprise to land like lightning when it hit them. "Miss Sora." The clerk smiled, sliding the manila folder across the counter. "Everything's official. The sale your parents attempted is void. The property is still legally yours." I nodded once, calm on the outside. Inside, I was fire. The buyers had already wired the money to my parents' joint account, but the title was never in their name, which meant they'd committed fraud felony. I didn't want them in jail, not yet. Jail would be mercy. I wanted them cornered, homeless, humiliated. I stepped out of the office into warm wind and checked my phone. 4 missed calls from a Florida area code. I let them sweat that evening. I called the local sheriff's office and reported an unauthorized attempted sale on property under my name. I emailed the buyer's agent all my documents. Within 2 hours, the deal was frozen, the moving trucks turned around. But Mom and Dad were already gone. They thought they were sipping margaritas in Boca Raton by now. Instead, they were about to find out their dream home didn't exist, that their bank account was about to be seized in a legal hold. And their golden boy son, yeah, Evan was about to find out just how toxic his own wife could be when our dreams got dragged down with a broke, jobless mama's boy. I waited. I didn't text, didn't call, didn't explain. I just posted one thing to my Facebook. If you ever feel like you've been used, don't get angry. Get smart, and always read the deed. Then I turned off my notifications. Let them wonder. Let them spiral. That night, I sat in the empty living room alone and laughed, because I wasn't the girl who begged to be loved anymore. I was the woman who owned the house. They were trespassers in a world they thought they built. The first text came in at 2:17 a.m. Where are you? Why is the bank saying the house isn't ours? Call me now. Then 2 missed calls, then one from Evan, then one from a Florida number with no name. I didn't answer. I just laid in bed, lights off, phone face down, smiling into the dark. Let them rot in confusion. By morning, they were unraveling. Evan finally left a voicemail. His voice a brittle mix of rage and panic. You need to fix this, Sora. You ruined everything. Mom's having chest pains. Dad's yelling at everyone. You think this is funny? We're out thousands. You've got 1 day before we take legal action. Legal action? On a home I owned, bought with my money, after being scammed with hugs and crocodile tears. I made myself eggs and coffee while playing the message again on speaker, loud, just for the echo. Then I sent one group text to all 3 of them. Per Florida law, attempting to sell a home you don't own is fraud. I have full documentation. The sale is void, the funds will be returned to the buyers, and the house is still mine. But since you left so quickly, I figured you wouldn't mind me changing the locks. Silence. 3 hours passed, then another voicemail. This time it was Mom. She was crying again, but it was different now. This wasn't a please save us cry. This was the sound of pride collapsing. Sweetie, we made a mistake. We were just trying to start over. We didn't think you'd take it this far. Your dad didn't mean what he wrote in the letter. He panicked. Can we talk? You don't talk to someone who stabbed you while you were hugging them. You walk away while they bleed out on their own blade. Instead, I called the HOA and reported unauthorized. Listing activity. I updated the city records to flag the property under dispute, just in case they tried something again. I didn't want revenge. I wanted consequences. So I started crafting the next step, not out of hatred, but out of a cold, calm clarity. Because when your own family weaponizes your love, you stop being their daughter and start being their reckoning. Knew Evan would crack first. He always does. Pressure hits him like a match to dry grass quick, loud, and useless. He called me from a restricted number. I picked up, silent. Sora. His voice was low, broken. Claire left me. She took the kids. Said she can't be married to a financially reckless man-shield. She found the letter Dad wrote you, the one that said, "Thanks for fixing our credit." Loser, he sniffed, then laughed bitterly. She called me. A parasite. I didn't say a word. I let him talk. Mom and Dad are sleeping on an air mattress in Uncle Brian's basement. He won't let them stay past next week. They're saying we should come back and try to work things out. They want to move back into the house. I finally spoke. There is no we, Evan. You made that clear the day you watched me drain my account. And didn't even say thank you. Silence. They're your parents, Sora. Are you really going to leave them on the street? I smiled so hard it hurt. Funny, that's exactly what they did to me. No more pretending. I wasn't their golden goose anymore. I was the hammer. Over the next few days, I began a transformation. New locks, new furniture, new life. I repainted the hallway that still had my childhood height marks penciled on the trim, not because I hated my past, but because I was finally done letting it haunt me. Then I got a call from a lawyer, their lawyer. He asked if I consider amicable restitution, a family-centered resolution. I asked one question. Did they tell you they left me homeless 5 years ago when I needed a place to stay? Sighed Evan needed his privacy more than I needed a roof. He paused. No, Miss Sora, they didn't mention that. I hung up. I didn't need justice from a court. I've something better. Control. Peace. They could chase papers all they wanted, but the foundation was mine. The mortgage in my name. And their fake Florida fantasy had turned to dust in their hands. I didn't burn bridges. I just stopped building ones where they only ever walked over me the day the moving truck came to my house. Not theirs. I stood in the driveway barefoot in leggings and a hoodie, sipping iced coffee like it was a sacred ritual. The neighbors waved. Son even came over to ask if my parents are moving back in. I smiled. No, just cleaning out the past. Making space for a future that actually belongs to me. Inside, I opened the hallway closet and found Mom's old wedding album, Evan's high school trophies, Dad's dusty box of important documents, insurance he never paid, tax forms he never filed. I boxed it all, labeled it, returned to sender, taped it shut, then drove it to Uncle Brian's. When he opened the door, the smell of stale coffee and unwashed laundry slapped me in the face. I could see them behind him, Mom with frizzy hair, Dad with sunken eyes, Evan on the floor in sweat scrolling like a ghost. I didn't step inside, just set the box on the porch. Dad reached for it, eyes flickering with something like hope. You should have just said thank you, I said, instead of treating me like your savings account. Mom opened her mouth, but nothing came out. She looked thinner, not from grief, from having to finally carry her own weight. I turned to go, but then Evan stood. Sora, wait, what are we supposed to do now? I paused, then said the most honest thing I'd ever said to him. Figure it out. Like I always had to. And I left. No screaming, no tears. Just footsteps fading into their silence. That night I changed. My number, deleted the family group chat, and unfollowed all of them. For the first time in years, my mind was quiet. No more guilt, no more trying to be the good daughter, the fixer, the forgiver. They taught me love was transactional, so I gave them exactly what they gave me. Nothing. Because when someone steals your trust and sells your kindness like property, you don't go back and buy it again. You board up the door and keep the key. Weeks passed. No calls, no texts, no apologies. Just silence. It was the most peace I'd ever known. I spent my mornings in the sunroom reading books I'd once sold to pay their bills. I repotted Mom's old orchids, the ones she always said were too delicate to survive. They bloomed for me. I signed up for a ceramics class, painted the walls of the guest bedroom ocean blue, and turned Dad's old office, the one I was never allowed to enter as a kid, into a studio for my own business. A space for me. Then one morning I got an email from Claire, not Evan, Claire. Subject line, I know everything, and I'm sorry. She told me about the day they'd arrived in Florida, how my parents treated her like unpaid help, how they expected her to cook, clean, and smile while they spent the leftover money from the sale on cruise brochures and champagne. Then she found the letter, the one that started it all. She confronted Evan. He blamed me. That's when she decided to walk away. I thought Evan was a man, she wrote, but he's just your father with a younger face. And you're the only one who ever showed real integrity. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. She ended it with, if you ever want to talk, really talk, I'm here, woman to woman. I didn't reply. Not yet. Not because I was angry, but because I was finally protecting the one person I should have chosen all along. Me. Sometimes healing looks like closure. Other times it looks like keeping the door locked even when someone knocks with sincerity. I wasn't ready to open it, but I didn't hate her for trying. As for Evan, I heard he moved into a cheap one-bedroom near Tampa. No wife. Number car, no job, just him and his entitlement. Last I heard, he tried to flip NFTs. It flopped. Of course it did. My parents. Uncle Brian kicked them out after they missed rent for the 3rd time. They're now bouncing between motels, posting blurry Facebook updates, pretending everything's
Fine, but I know better.
because when you tear down the only child who ever lifted you up, eventually the ground disappears beneath you. And the fall?
It's quiet.
Last week I walked past a homeless man sitting by the fountain. He looked up and for a split second I saw my father. But it wasn't him, just the same slumped shoulders, the same hollow stare of someone who gambled everything and lost. I kept walking because I didn't owe pity to people who fed off my pain. That night I lit a candle in the hallway, the one I used to hide in when they fought. I stood there barefoot, grounded in silence, and I finally let myself say it out loud. I did the right thing. Not because they suffered, but because I stopped. Stopped begging to be loved. Stopped paying to belong. Stopped handing out second chances like spare change. They thought they taught me strength through suffering, but I learned my strength in walking away. That house, it's mine now. Every brick, every inch. But it's not about the deed. It's about the peace. No more calls, no more guilt trips wrapped in Bible verses. No more birthday texts from Evan asking for just a little help till payday. I blocked them all digitally, emotionally, eternally. Now I plant flowers where they once buried resentment. I host friends who say thank you and mean it. I laugh in the kitchen without hearing a slammed door down the hall. I even started writing. Again, a memoir maybe, not to expose, but to free. To remind myself I am not the sum of what I paid for others. I am the worth they never saw in the home they'll never enter again, because this chapter didn't end in revenge. It ended in reclamation. I didn't destroy them, they destroyed themselves. I just stopped saving them from it.